Hey guys, it's Christine with Indigo Wings. I am not doing the typical weekly reading. Readly. I don't know what I was trying to say. So I'm not doing the typical weekly reading. Posting this a little late. I actually had a spread pulled the other day, and I got done with it, and I was like, I'm not feeling this, and I just scrapped it, and I'm like, you know what, today's not the day, and so now here I am, and I decided I'd been getting a lot of requests to do another reading where I go through and I talk about what the blocks are that the Divine Feminine is experiencing, the Divine Masculine is experiencing, talking about the union energy. So that's what I'm doing for this week's reading. And I'm really feeling like the energy of this reading is going beyond just this week. And I might do something else this week if I have a chance. I might just it's Tuesday. I might just give it a couple days and just follow up with a regular weekly reading. We'll kind of see what comes up for me this week. But I feel like we just had Jupiter go retrograde last week. We have Mercury retrograde coming up. And I have heard a couple things now. These are just, hearsay, really, from a few friends who I consider in the know, that it could be an intense Mercury retrograde. I've absolutely no real idea about that. So I have not even made it that far. So I'll get back to you on that. But we have a Mercury retrograde coming up. We have spring equinox coming up. Is it the equinox, Ostara? I'm losing my mind. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm totally losing my mind. But there's a lot of stuff coming up. And I feel like the energy of this reading is kind of like, it's kind of encompassing the period of all of these things. So I'm feeling like this reading is at the very least kind of going to go through the end of March, what I'm feeling here. Possibly even, maybe to the to when Mercury goes direct again is kind of the feeling that I have on this. But go with what you feel on this and take what resonates. There might be a lot of messages that you get in this reading, or maybe only one or two things might resonate with you. This is a general reading, so it's a large audience, so take what resonates, leave what doesn't. You guys know the drill with this. And because I have had so many inquiries about this particular reading, it was something I kind of just did off on the fly one day, and I've had so many people ask me if I do it as a personal reading that I have decided to make this a reading that I do provide. It's not up on my website, but I am going to offer it at a special price for the next week. So I think the next week today's March 13th, so I'll offer it today through March 20th for only $50. And I will put the link in the description box below on how you can order that. And then after the 20th, I'm thinking that I will have this in my store on my website for $77 because this is a little bit more involved than some of the other readings that I do. My children are all kind of going bonkers this afternoon, so you might hear a little bit of yelling in the background. And my big old dog decided to join me. And so I'm hoping he'll be patient as I record this. He's taking a snooze right now, so if you hear any dog snoring, that's him. I'm hoping he will let me record this before he wants to be let out of the room. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the energy of the divine feminine, the divine masculine, the energy of the union. I'm going to talk about the blocks that I'm seeing in the divine feminine, the divine masculine, and what I'm seeing for ways that you can move through them, and then the near future for the union. Information on how to book a reading with me will be down below in the description box, and the ways that you can connect with me on social media. And before I start, sorry, I feel like I've been talking forever and I've been trying not to do that. I do feel like this is a period, and I feel like over the last month or so, and probably at least for the coming up month, it's a period of, I don't know, I feel like we've been saying this for a while, but I really do feel like there are transformations taking place for people. And I think it includes both the divine masculine and the divine feminine. I think that if you are one of the ones that can harness the energy and kind of put your head down and do what you feel called to do, because I don't think that this might be the time for everyone to do what they should be doing. I don't want people to feel pressured to do something that maybe doesn't feel right for them. But for those of you that are in this, are at this point, and you feel ready to do certain things, or you're feeling called to do certain things, even though they might be really hard, I think that energetically you're going to be supported to do these things. And I think it's going to feel really difficult, but I feel like the last month, maybe 6 weeks, give or take, has been very challenging for people. And I just had a conversation with somebody where, I said it feels like the next several weeks that are coming up is going to be, it might be some, a lot of energetic stuff going on, but I don't feel like it's going to be quite as difficult. I feel like we're getting to the easier stuff where we're like a seed, and we've been doing like all like the really hard stuff underground, where we're developing and growing, and we're coming out of our little pod, and trying to find our way through the mud and the dirt and the muck, and grow our roots, and find our way to the light that we can't see because it's dark. And as we are getting closer and closer to the top, it gets easier and easier because the dirt gets like looser and more fertile, and there's, I don't know how like plant life works. I'm not a botanist, but you guys get my point. Like, we've been at like the hardest part because we've been trying to grow from this seed and grow through the dark, where like we can't see what we're doing and we have no idea what we're doing. But it's like all this stuff that nobody else knows what we're doing either, because it's all happening under the ground. It's happening in the dark. It's happening in the shadows. But I feel like as we are about to welcome spring, we're about to sprout. We're about to break through the dirt. And there's still going to be growth and stuff that we have to do to grow buds and then bloom. But that's like where it starts to get a little less difficult. And we start to be able to see where we're going and what we're doing and how far we've come, and other people can see it too. Like we can start to measure where we've come. So I hope that that resonates with some of you, like it did with me as I had this conversation with somebody. But I feel like there's a lot of people who are going through this period. So I will get on with the reading. So if you made it this far, thank you. So for the feminine, 4 cards came out for the energy. And the first card that came up is moving on. And there's definitely, we've been talking about this for a while. So I don't think this is a surprise, but there's a lot of you feeling like, what am I doing? So, some of you are in a place of moving on, moving forward, where you're fine with it. Like, you're like, okay, do my own thing. I'm moving on. Some of you are not in a great place about it. But either way, this is what you need to be doing. And in this card where you're moving on to where things are growing. Where this person's coming from, nothing is growing. But where they're going on to, there's growth, there's plants, there's life. Now, the next card that comes up is giving and receiving. And those of you who are moving on and you're feeling like, I guess, really unfulfilled and just not very good about it, I feel like you're in this place of lack when it comes to giving and receiving, and you're focusing on the wrong things, or the wrong place. You're out of balance with someone or many someones with how you give and receive energy, and your focus is in the wrong place right now. For those of you who are doing this moving on, and you're in a good place, I feel like you're in this giving and receiving energy where you've gone from that place where you looked at, where you're giving your energy, where you're receiving energy. You've already done this. You've already taken a look, and you've noticed where the imbalance was. You've seen where you've needed to adjust things and said, you know what, this isn't fulfilling me right now. I need to focus on the things that are fulfilling for me. I need to do things that are good for me right now, like doing things that fill your cup up, basically, instead of worrying about filling everybody else's cups up. That's what I'm getting from this. And then these 2 cards, I feel like, are going together. We have open up and we have sacral chakra. I feel like the feminine are moving into a place where they are I feel like you are opening yourselves up to a place that you haven't really, I don't want to say you haven't explored before, but I feel like you are more open to the idea that you can have the things that you desire, or that there's nothing wrong with desiring more than what you have, or, you know, like I feel like many of you have perhaps had negative connotations around your desires, maybe sexuality, luxuries, you know, just whatever's coming up for you when I say the word desire is for you what your desire kind of is. And I feel like, you know, what I'm saying with your desire, I feel like it's the desire that you've not been as open up to receiving. I'm having a hard time with my words, so I hope I'm getting my point across. But I feel like, I don't want to say you've been closed off to receiving it, but you maybe haven't felt deserving of it, or you haven't felt, you know, maybe you've felt a little ashamed about it, or that it wasn't appropriate, or, you know, whatever kind of like, whatever programming you have about something that it is that you desire. I feel like that's kind of going away, and you're opening up more to knowing that you can have whatever it is you want. So for the masculine, that his energy, we have coming together. Now, before the feminine gets all excited, I don't really feel like this is the masculine pining away for the feminine wanting to come together. You know, maybe for some of them, but overall, I don't really think that's the case. I do think that, you know, the love is there and the thought is there, but that's not what this card is representing. This card is about the masculine wanting to really, you know, be at one with himself, you know, come into union with himself. And that's a big deal for them, you know. I feel like they don't have this realization quite as readily as the feminine does. This is a big deal. And I feel like what this is that before they can come together with anybody, someone that they truly love, you know, a soul connection, a twin flame, they need to be at one with themselves. They need to be, they need to know who they are. They need to really be good with themselves. And I feel like that's more what that card is about. And then they have just breathe. And what I'm getting here is, you know, I'm seeing more, this person is looking at you know, kind of like a reflection of their soul. And I feel like for some of these masculine energies, they're taking a look at themselves and who they are, and, you know, what do they need to do for themselves. You know, how do they need to adjust to be able to be at one with who they are and come into union with themselves. For some of them, this might be, you know, having to take a moment to just wrap their head around all of this, because just coming to that conclusion that they are not as good with themselves as they thought they were, that might be a big deal for them. That might be a lot for them to wrap their head around. So they might need to take some time to just breathe for a minute. But overall, I feel like this is them taking a deeper look at themselves. And then we have embrace. I'm really getting this as they are just embracing where they're at with this. and not trying to fight that, you know, this is where I am, and I'm just going to go with what's happening, you know. And I feel like they know that a seed has been planted within them, and I feel like they know that what they're going through right now is going to bring them better things. Like, I feel like they know that better things are coming for them because of where they're at right now. And so the energy that we have of the union, we have love abounds. So the feminine might not realize this. I feel like the ones that are moving forward and moving on in a positive way, I feel like they probably get this. The masculine that this reading applies to definitely get this. The love is there. There's no question. The love is there. You know, and this is one of those times where it's just, this is, you know, there's no question about whether or not this is a connection based on love. Like, it is. What's happening in the 3D physical world is not a reflection of that. And then we have blossom. And, you know, I think it's kind of funny how, you know, this card talks about blossom. And, you know, I was kind of talking a little bit ago about how we're trying to, you know, we're going through this hard time where, you know, I'm thinking about a seed that is trying to grow and kind of peek out of the dirt and eventually blossom. You know, and I kind of feel like that's the state of the union in a way, like, and that's where the divine masculine and that's where the divine feminine are. You know, right now they're the seeds. You know, and it's going to take time for the union to blossom. You know, but this is a card of just knowing, like, you know, just look at this card. Like, I look at this card and I just get this, you know, feeling of everything's fine. You know, look at this warm, beautiful globe of light in her hands, and, you know, the plant that's growing from it. Like, this is like, you know, this card reminds me of creation and manifestation, and that, you know, almost like we can, you know, we have more control than we realize over the direction that this goes in. But then we have confront. And, you know, so going from that, there are things that each individual has to do before you can get to that blossom part. You know, the divine masculine and feminine still have shadows that they need to face. There are things that need to be done in the shadow. You know, fears that they need to confront. Healing that needs to be done, things that they haven't faced. And will all of that be done in the next 2 months? No. Probably not. I mean, maybe for some of you, you know, but there are some things that still need to be worked on. So it's just a matter of, there's certain things just that you still need to face in order to blossom. But just because you have to face certain things, it doesn't mean the love's not there. So what is blocking the feminine? So the cards that came out were very So I feel like with the feminine, and I feel like this does not apply to everybody who may be watching this. You know how I said that I feel like there's a group that is moving on in a more positive way. I'm not sure if this will really apply to you. Maybe it will. But the cards that came out here, we got the Ten of Earth, and then we have the King of Water. And, you know, the Ten of Earth is about, like, you know, a happy family life and financial security. And, you know, the King of Water is, like, you know, open-heartedness and trustworthy, compassionate, like, and the message that's coming to me is, you know, King of Water is kind of how some of the Divine Feminine want, if they don't see their counterpart this way, they want that, like, he's like on a pedestal to them now, like they try to view him that way. And what I'm seeing is, like, there's like an attachment to this vision, like this expectation, like, or desire, like, this is the outcome that I want from this connection. And that's blocking you. You have to detach yourself from that outcome, because we don't know, right? Like, we don't know. And I feel like that attachment to that being the fairy tale ending and the happy ever after, it's not serving you, it's blocking you, it's preventing you from moving forward. It doesn't mean that might not, it doesn't mean that won't happen for you. It might, for some of you, that might be how things come together for you. It might not, though, and there might be something 10 million times better that you can't even think of, because it's so amazing that you're limiting yourself by holding on to this expectation. You're holding yourself back. And so I asked for some clarifying cards on this, and the clarifying cards that I got, we got the Five of Pentacles. And so, you know, I got being left out in the cold. Got Judgment. What I'm getting here is, you know, like a review of things, like re-looking at things, you know, maybe moving in a different direction. And the Ace of Wands in reverse, like missing out on new opportunities, missing out on moving forward. And so what I'm getting here is that, you know, like, you are holding on to this, you know, like fairy tale in a way, like, this is my prince, or this is my, you know, king, my happily ever after that I envision, but it's holding you back because whether you're aware of it or not, you have this fear that they're going to leave you out in the cold. There's something that's happened at some point in your past lives that you fear being left out in the cold. You fear being left behind. You feel maybe being judged, or that they're going to change their mind about you. Maybe that they're going to find something out about you, and they're going to be like, no thanks. And those fears and those thoughts and that projection of that happily ever after, it's holding you back, and you're missing out on moving forward and new opportunities because of that expectation. And so then two other cards came out. We have the Knight of Air. You know, and so the Knight of Air is very quick moving energy. The Knight of Air is very intelligent, very decisive. And then we have renewal, which is interesting because renewal is similar to the judgment card. It's the same. They're just different decks. Renewal is, again, reviewing, evaluating. It's moving in a new direction. And I feel like, on the one hand, you have like this attachment to the happily ever after, but then on the other hand, like you quickly switch to, maybe I need to move in a different direction. Maybe this isn't for my highest good. Maybe I need to do something different. And so you're like, you don't know what you want. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you don't know. If you don't know, the universe doesn't know. They can't give you what you want. And so I clarified this too. There's a desire. You have the Two of Wands. There's a desire for you to move forward. You want to go out on your own and do something. This is kind of like this is a card of like coming into your own, like being more independent. So it's like, the opposite of the fairy tale ending and, having your prince or your king carry you off into the sunset. We have the Two of Pentacles. So this is like you have a choice to make. We have the Queen of Wands. And, with the Queen of Wands, I'm getting that like, because you're like flip-flopping from back and forth between these choices, like what should I do, or these outcomes, you're almost coming across as like you're coming across in a way that you don't mean to come across. Like your energy is coming across much more harshly than you intend it to. You're almost coming across as maybe in some ways like you're trying to control the situation, or you're coming across as manipulative, just like not like you're just not coming across in a way that you really are. You're being kind of misconstrued. And then the other card that come up is the Three of Wands. And so the Three of Wands is the need to have patience, and wait for the perfect timing. And so this is like saying that, you don't need to make this decision either. You don't have to decide to cut this person out either. Like you don't have to do one or the other. And I'm almost feeling like there's this like, you've got the two extremes, and both extremes are blocking you, but also the need to like choose one or the other is blocking you as well. So for the masculine, what is blocking the masculine? So the masculine got the Four of Fire, and the Four of Fire is all about joy, peace, contentment, again, happy home life. Which I thought that was kind of funny that you both got very similar cards. I feel like his is a little different though. I feel like the masculine is far less attached to outcomes than the feminine is. And I pulled clarifiers for the Four of Fire. I got strength. I've got the Nine of Cups. And then I got the Three of Pentacles. And what I'm getting from these is that the masculine is using it's like taking everything that he can to appear like he's happy, you know, because it's like, if you look at his life as an outsider, why wouldn't he be happy? Things are going great. Why wouldn't he be happy? But there's the Three of Pentacles. There's another person here. There's a third party. And so I believe that this is for those masculine twins who have a karmic partner. You know, they're really carrying a very heavy load, because they're trying to handle both this connection and their karmic partner, whether that's a girlfriend, a wife, someone else, like whatever that looks like for them. So the next card that came out is release. And I don't think they're at a point where they're releasing anything or ending anything. They are going through a period of what's blocking them is that they need to move on from something. Probably this facade that they've built up around themselves, and they're choosing not to. The next card is the Two of Fire. You know, they need to move forward. They need to establish their independence. Kind of like what I was saying for the feminine, like, you know, it's that same card, the Two of Wands, establishing your independence, moving forward. And I feel like the desire is there. I mean, it's in his energy, but they're hanging on to that Four of Fire energy with somebody. There's a facade around them. And so that's creating a block. Now, the last three cards came out together, and so I'm reading them together. We got the Two of Earth, we have the Eight of Air, and then we have the Four of Earth. And so something that's blocking him, he has a decision to make, which kind of funny, just similar to the feminine. There's a decision. He needs to make a decision because, and he's not making the decision because of the Eight of Air. He's too afraid to act on this. He's lacking the self-confidence, and because he lacks the self-confidence, he feels kind of stuck, like he doesn't really know. And it's so this working on himself is good, because that's going to help him to move through this block. And then the Four of Earth, this lack of self-confidence is, and the need to make a choice. The Four of Earth, it just kind of confirms, like, he's going back and forth, like flip-flopping. And it's making him very unhappy and miserable, and like just kind of going from one extreme to the next, back and forth. And it's it's just kind of, I think, exaggerates things for him, and makes it just kind of makes him feel that much more stuck. And so that's what's blocking him. So for the feminine, how does the feminine move through her blocks? So feminine, surrender resentments. So feminine, this is especially for those of you who are feeling like that moving the moving on energy, but you're feeling, you know, kind of negative about it. Surrender resentments. Holding on to resentments only poisons you. Try to forgive others and their shortcomings and keep moving forward towards positive situations in your life. You know, look at the things that are going well for you and you know, be grateful, you know, practice gratitude for those things, and that will help you continue to move forward. And then surrender your ego. Cultivate gratitude. Now, I totally did not read this card before I said that, so it's, you know, I have to kind of laugh that I was talking about gratitude. Cultivate gratitude. Be of service to others and come from your heart. A big ego can work against you, but humility will further your goals. You know, and that's something I talk about a lot with my clients is, you know, trying to come at situations from your heart and focus on living from your heart as much as you can. And then, so the next thing that the feminine can focus on to move through their blocks, like attracts like. So look at what kind of energy you're putting out there, you know, how you're speaking, how you're acting, you know, you attract that type of energy back to you. Even the kinds of posts that you put out on social media, those things are out there forever. So really pay attention to what you're doing and the energy you're putting out there. And then the last three cards for the feminine, I got the Eight of Fire. So the Eight of Fire is about, you know, I'm getting here, there's like a desire for communication. And kind of like having just feeling strongly about things. We have the Nine of Water. So the Nine of Water is, you know, wishes come true and concerns fading away. You know, I feel like this is like focusing on the things that are going well, you know, not focusing on the negative, but focusing on the positive. And then we have the Queen of Earth, and the Queen of Earth is, you know, I feel like the message here is, you know, focusing on what's in front of you. You know, things going really well. You know, taking a sensible approach, dealing with challenges, you know, with kindness. And again, I'm sorry about the dog noises. He's getting a little antsy. And I pulled clarifying cards for these three. And we got the Eight of Wands in reverse. And then we got the Chariot. And it's kind of funny because the Eight of Wands in reverse is like slow moving energy, and the Chariot is like a fast moving, you know, moving forward kind of energy. So it's kind of like they cancel each other out in a way. But this is also communication, you know, and so like I'm feeling like, you know, you got the Eight of Wands and you got the Eight of Fire and the Eight of Wands. Those are both the same card. I'm feeling like, you know, because this is, you know, moving through your blocks. I feel like there's a message with the Eight of Fire, you know, about like, yeah, I feel like it's about, you know, communicating and, you know, communicating your desires. But then with this, I feel like this is second guessing that and, you know, maybe not moving as quickly on that. You know, lacking the confidence to communicate the things that you want to, but then the Chariot is saying that, you know, I feel like you will do what you feel is right to move forward. It's kind of funny how you've got all these cards about moving forward, and it's just kind of funny how they come out. For the masculine to move through his blocks, we have surrender to the magic of who you are. This card says we all have magic in us, even the mundane aspects of life. Remember that you are a magical being with uniqueness and worth that comes from just being you. So I feel like that's, really going to be important for the masculine, and especially in what they're doing in terms of working on themselves and coming, into union with themselves and moving forward. Embrace your emotions. I feel like that's a really good one for the masculine. I feel like they shove their emotions down a lot, and they don't always, even if they recognize them, they don't always recognize them, or they don't articulate them to other people. And so, they're going to have to learn how to stop pushing them down, stop judging them. Show simple acts of kindness. Hey, buddy, come here. A simple act of kindness can energize you and bring happiness to those around you. And so I feel like a way that the masculine can move through his blocks is, I think, like, for a lack of a better way of saying it, paying it forward. Like just doing little things for other people to kind of, I feel like that will help boost them a little bit. Then we have the Two of Water. So most of you who are familiar with my readings, you know how I feel about this card. I feel like a way that the masculine's going to move through his blocks is, potentially for some of you, acknowledging his feelings in regards to this relationship. Hey, come here. Come here. But ultimately, I think that there's going to be a lot of forgiveness that he needs to offer himself in order to be able to move through his blocks. We have the Seven of Earth, which is him, realizing that the seeds of this connection, like everything, like the seeds are planted. And remember what I was talking about earlier with, we're growing, the seeds are growing, like the seeds have been planted, and we're going to see the what's the word I'm looking for? We're going to see the results of that soon. So it's like, I feel like this is like, he needs to have faith that everything's going to be fine. We have the Three of Fire. And where was that? You had it. It was around here somewhere else. Being patient and just waiting for the right time. Believing in the abundance. And then we have the Empress. He really needs to focus on nurturing himself right now. He needs to do what works for him. Now, for the near future for the union, we got Crown Chakra. This is going to be all about, I think, building more of a connection in the spiritual realms. Hey, come here, buddy. Come. Focusing on the spiritual realms and, building the connection more in the 5D. And once you're building things in the 5D, I feel like it's going to trickle down in the 3D, but I feel like the connection's really going to be strengthened a lot in the 5D while this is going on. I think that, we have manifest. And I think that, what I'm getting here is that we are, we have a 1 for new beginnings. And I think that we are going to be moving into a period of, new beginnings. We're moving into spring, where things are, blooming and growing and birth. And, I feel like this is a period of time where the masculine and feminine, hi buddy, can really like I'm almost feeling like this is like a clean slate where, you know, each of you has what you need to be able to move forward in the way you desire. You just have to you just have to put the intention out there. You know, you have to have the pure intention. We have share the love. And with share the love, again, I'm just, you know, it's the same thing. Like the love is there. There is no question about whether or not there is love in this connection. I feel like with share the love, there is going to be some sort of exchange. You know, for some of you, it may only be in 5D, you know, dreams or meditation connection or something like that. For some of you, there might be, you know, seeing each other in person, or there might be conversations or whatever it is. But, you know, that's definitely happening. But then we have, sorry, he's a very needy dog, as you can see. Hey, buddy. Hey, we're almost done. We're almost done. Come here. Come here. So then we have the 8 of water. And, you know, what I'm really getting with the 8 of water is, you know, not so much that either the masculine or the feminine are moving on from each other or moving on from the union. I really feel like, you know, like one of the meanings that's on this card is the spiritual and emotional growth. And I really feel like that is a big piece of what's happening here. I do feel like there is a search for something more meaningful. You know, in terms of moving on, I feel like there's a desire to move on from who we used to be. You know, like with what, you know, I keep talking about this like plant analogy. It's like we're being reborn, and we want to move on from who we used to be. We don't want to be that anymore. We want to move on from it. Oh, thanks, buddy. And then we have the 10 of air. The 10 of air, you know, 10 breaks down to a 1, new beginnings. But then, you know, the 10 of air, you know, the end of a difficult situation. And so, you know, I do expect things to be getting better. You know, I think I talked about that in the beginning, that, you know, there's going to be things going on energetically, but I feel like it's going to be getting lighter. You know, things will be changing, but, you know, it's going to be getting better. And the 10 of air is also a card that indicates recovering from an addiction. And I do feel like for some of the people watching this, that is the case. You know, and I am not talking about an addiction in regards to substance use or anything like that. For some of us, this connection has been an addiction. You know, there has been a codependency for some. And so this period where, you know, because I am seeing here the masculine and the feminine moving in different directions for a period, and focusing on doing their own thing. And I think for those that is happening with, it's really going to be helping a pattern of codependency that has that has been an issue. Whether you want to see it or not, it's been an issue. And then I did pull clarifying cards on the 8 of water and the 10 of earth. We have the Ace of Cups. So once more, the love is there. So this is not, like a screw you, don't love each other kind of thing. Your cups are full. We have the Nine of Wands. And so this is like, standing your ground and not giving up, defending your beliefs. And so I feel like, again, like there's been a lot of effort put into this connection. I don't think this is you're completely giving up on this. And then we have the Justice card. Everything's going to work out just fine. Everybody will be fine. And, there will be fair and just decisions in the end. So if you're one of those people that is in a period of separation, quiet, less communication, I know that can be very challenging, but it's okay. Number one, you are not alone. There are a lot of people going through this. But what I'm seeing time and time again in the cards is that this is really happening for the greater good. For your greater good, for, not just like, oh, this is happening for everybody. Like, no, this is really happening for your benefit. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Things are going to be getting better. And this is just, really going to help you. So I hope that this reading was helpful for you. It is on the long side. I apologize for that. I do try to keep them a little bit shorter than this. So if you stayed with me for the whole thing, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much to everybody who comments, likes, subscribes to these videos. I appreciate it. If you are interested in reading with me, check the description box below. All of my information is there. This reading, if you are interested in getting your own personal reading, this particular spread is going to be on special for the next week through March 20th for $50. After that, it's going to go up to $77. I think that's when I'm going to have it be on my website and my store. So if this is something that you're interested in, the link on how to order that will be in the description box below as well. And I will see you guys soon, probably within the next 2 days when I upload probably either my weekly reading, or I might do something else. I haven't decided yet. It's been kind of a crazy couple weeks, so one thing at a time. But I hope you guys are all doing well. Thank you again so much. If you liked this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. Leave me a comment below. I would love to hear your feedback. And until next time, I hope you have a great day, have a great week, and I will talk to you all soon. Take care.